Evo, upravo si jedina na sastanku.
Da te ne bi
Good evening to people coming in.
Professor, how are you?
Hi, Asha, how you doing?
Good,
Hey,
thank you.
Fazia. Hey, Dragon. And I see Barisa came in and Didia came in. Hello, hello.
Hello. Hello, Professor. How are
Hey,
you?
Barisa. I am okay. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Excellent.
Hi, Professor.
Hello. Hello,
Hey, Ina, hey,
Professor.
Sadaf. Hi there.
How are you today?
I'm okay. How are you, Ina?
I'm okay too. Just dropped my dad and just like come home.
I hope you're doing okay. I hope everybody's doing okay. And happy Ramadan to my people celebrating Ramadan. I know it started on the weekend, but it's the first time I got to see you. I hope you're all doing well at this beautiful time of the year.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it is not difficult, but actually just the problem is so going work, so and Ramadan, it's a little, we cannot coordinate. I mean, there is no time to just concentrate on Ramadan and pray.
Yes.
So you need to work, then come. So yeah, this is life.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. You know, we're getting ready for, and Christians are getting ready for Holy Week coming up, right? And I've talked about this with a few other students, but of course we do not have Ramadan in the Catholic Church, but we have something called Lent, right? And Lent is 40 days and 40 nights, and it's really important for people to sacrifice or give up something during Lent. It's not the same as Ramadan, where there's sort of very strict rules or sort of suggestions, right, for food and water during the day and sunrise and sunset. But there are some things that are very similar, right? what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to behave during Lent. And those 40 days and 40 nights, they lead up to the Holy Week. And then at the end of Holy Week is Easter, right? And Easter is next Sunday. So not this Sunday, that's Palm Sunday, but the week after that is the most important day in the Christian calendar, in the Christian year. So it's very similar though, Fauzi. I feel the same way, right? Is work, life, and this time of the year, this time of the calendar that's meant to be very important, right? For us to think about a lot of things. It's kind of like, okay, like
Yeah,
I do it, but I have to do 20 other things,
Yeah.
Professor, is it start like before 40 days, like before Easter?
Yes, well, it's actually 48 days before Easter, because Lent starts on Ash Wednesday. Ash Wednesday is the beginning of Lent, and then you get 40 days, 40 nights. And actually this Sunday was the last Sunday of Lent, and Holy Week, well, Lent will end this Sunday when Palm Sunday. And again, please know everybody, right? I'm not telling anybody, I'm not trying to convert anybody or anything, but for Christians, this Sunday is a really important day because it's to celebrate when people believe that Jesus entered into Jerusalem before he was killed, right? So this Sunday is kind of the beginning of really the most important week in the calendar. And yeah, Ina, so we have a week, we have Lent, and then we have Holy Week, and then at the end of Holy Week is Easter. Yeah.
I know about Easter and Holy Week, but like I never hear. I mean, like maybe because I didn't follow that, but like that's interesting. Like, but like you have to like celebrate like feast, right? Or fest.
Feast.
Like, you have to like follow 40 days, or you can like just like much you can. I just
The
like
idea,
from you.
yeah, at least the idea in Catholicism now, right, is that people, it's different than Ramadan, right? In Ramadan, it's very clear, right, when you can eat and when you cannot eat. In the idea for Lent is that individuals, people will pray or talk to friends or priest or whatever, and make a decision about what they will sacrifice, right? So it doesn't have to be food. It could be they're going to give extra money, or they're going to donate extra time, but the idea is to give something up, right? To sacrifice something for those 40 days and 40 nights, but each person will choose individually. And that's to prepare and to get ready for Holy Week and for Easter.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah. So again, I know Ramadan and Lent are not the same, but they do have some things in common. They really do. Asha's having internet problems. No problem, Asha. And let's see, I just am saying hi to people. Lasana's here and Vincent's here. Fauzi, I said hello. Ina. Manisha, I see your hand. What's up?
Hi, Professor. I just
Hello.
want to say happy Ramadan to our those who fast. I just wanted to let you know, maybe I will have to log out at 7 because just to get a break for 30 minutes because we need to pray and break our fast, and I'll be back.
Yeah.
I know we're gonna record this meeting, but it's still I just like to be in the meeting. When I have any question, I can ask it right away.
I appreciate it. I know everything is different during Ramadan. Yeah, the reason I was talking about Lent and all that stuff, Manisha, was because I said, yeah, happy Ramadan. I know it started over the weekend, but it's my first time to get to see you for our students who are celebrating Ramadan right now. So I know it's everything changes. It's an important time of the year. So of course, Manisha, please take care of yourself.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, teaching evening class during Ramadan is always interesting.
This is the first time I'm having a class in the Ramadan from evening. So I was thinking what I'm gonna do. Then I decided I'm gonna let you know. Maybe I have to log out for 30 minutes and come back.
Of course, yeah, and we'll see we'll see. It's great if you're, maybe because of that, we'll make sure we get started here. So yeah, it's 6:40. Great. I think I saw Zabi come in too. Just want to make sure I said hi to everybody who's coming in.
Hi,
Yes,
teacher.
well,
Hi,
hi
everybody.
there. Hi, everybody. And Asha says happy Ramadan in the chat as well. Yeah. I'll go ahead and get started. Let me share my screen again. Because we'll see. Well, if people need to leave when it's time for prayers or whatever we need to do, right? Whatever you need to do to take care of yourself tonight and during Ramadan, of course, please do. Although next week is spring break, so we won't have to worry about this next week. But this
No
week,
more
I'll
homework, Professor.
say what? Say what, Frazia?
No, sorry, I interrupt you. No more homework because next week is so just like
Oh, believe
holiday.
me. Oh, believe me, I know. I was grading, I think on Sunday I was grading for like 7 hours, and today I was grading for like 6 hours because I said this to Didia. I'm the same way, Fauzia. I don't want to
Yes, thank you
grade.
so
I
much.
don't want to grade anything during spring break. I don't want to do anything. It's Semana Santa. I've that's my week to celebrate.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Because I missed one of my assignment last week, I have to do it for this week.
Well, and now actually this is perfect. Paris is talking because I added lesson 19 and lesson 20 last week. I can tell you this is not, I'm going to make my space big here. This is not me saying anything negative, okay? This is not complaining, but just so that I was sort of understanding how everyone is doing or feeling. I had only one student submit lesson 19 and one student, a different student, submit lesson 20. And I thought, oh boy, okay, maybe we're tired, we're stressed, Ramadan's starting, what is going on? So we'll make a plan. We'll make a plan tonight. That's kind of my goal for class tonight. Draga, you have a question before I get started?
I don't. I just would like to inform you that I did them both, but I didn't submitted them yet.
Got it. And I think Asha says the same thing.
We are not so bad. In general, we are not so bad.
It's not about bad. You know that, Draga.
I'm kidding, of course.
I know. But let's see where we are. We know we're not bad, but where are we? What's going on? Well, it is Tuesday, April 5th, and we're here in week 12. Oh my, 3 months, you guys. We're doing it. We're doing it. And next week is spring break. And then after that, we've only got 3 weeks of instruction after that. So we can talk more about that. But first, I was going to put you in small groups, but let's just do this in a big group. I'd love to just hear from anyone who wants to share, because it's going to help me decide what to do tonight. I've got ideas and options, but first, really, I just wanted to do a check-in, right? Like the warm-up here is like a check-in with all of you guys. And it's really to ask how you guys are feeling. So here's what I'd love to hear from anyone who wants to tell me. How are you feeling about hyperfocus? How can I help you with lessons 17, 18, 19, and 20? And really, what kind of support do you need from me right now? And I see Draga's hand, but I'll just say the reason that I'm asking is because I think we are kind of at this time in the semester. It comes every semester where I can lecture, I can tell you what to do, I can explain things, but I do think a lot of the most important work to do right now is for you to do with Hyperfocus the book, with the audio recording, with practicing your writing, with revising your writing, so I can help you with that, but I do not right now want to show you a bunch of new information. I feel like right now there's almost like too much information and we're all trying to figure out what to do, how to do it, and how to understand some of the big ideas in this book. So that's one reason I'm asking, right? Is how are we feeling? What do you need? How can I help? And then that will help me decide what I want to do tonight. So please, Draga, I see your hand, and then anybody else. I would love to hear from anyone who wants to answer this question. Please, Draga.
Okay, I just would like to tell you thank you for this book, which opens our eyes or just confirm what we been doing for years, maybe same things. But I think this book is more important, not just for more important than not only doing those assignments, but it is for the rest of our life useful. And I'm very, very happy. I will keep it and turn back to that book for the rest of my life. So thank you very much. And I don't know if you had a chance to see a link I sent to you today.
I saw it, but I didn't look at it because I was grading summaries today.
So I just would like to recommend to everyone. I'm listening the audiobook. You can find it on internet. It's free audiobook. The Power of Concentration. The Power of Concentration. It is similar to that one, but also it approaches from different sides. And it is amazing. It's not only how to remember something better, but it is just amazing book. I didn't listen it carefully yet, but I will during the spring break definitely, and also buy the book and keep it with me wherever I go. Yeah, so I really would like. So The Power of Concentration. Yes, that one.
Cool. Draga's got her book recommendation. I love it. That's great. Yeah, and I won't say too much. I will just say, you know, if I ask students to buy a book for a class, it is because I truly believe it is worth owning that book. And I do think this book has really interesting and important ideas that are really relevant to everybody in 2022. You know, if you have a smartphone or if you have a child who has a smartphone, you know, there's some interesting ideas. And I'm really glad that it's meaningful for you, Draga. That's great. Cool. Who else? How can I help? What should we do tonight? What do you need? What do you need from me? Tell me. I would love to. I would love to give you what you want tonight. Fauzia, please.
Professor, I just want is it possible that we can work on some summaries? I mean, students' example summaries, because last time you just we practice with one summary, but I really want to see one of my summary of my classmates to see how they work on summary and response, especially the lesson 18 and 19, like the last two. So if possible.
Yeah, I've graded, I think only a few people. Vincent, I didn't finish grading yours. I think I have like 2 more to grade for the people who submitted lesson 18. Okay, so an example of a student summary. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Any other ideas? What you need, how can I help? Like, we're tired, Jeff. We don't want to talk. You talk, Jeff. You talk.
Professor, one question.
Yeah, Didier, please.
Again, with the pronouns that we use in our essay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that we repeat, for example, instead of say you or something, if we put person or people, it doesn't matter that we repeat it a lot. No? Okay.
Yeah, and if you saw your scores and my comments for lesson 18, if you did it, you know, one very common issue for people to fix is people just used the same pronouns that we saw in hyperfocus in their summary, right? So it was in people's summary. Well, maybe we should, I'm going to stop sharing and pull up an example here. So let me pull up an example. This is like Fauzia's idea. But I want to make sure I can get rid of the people's names so people don't see the names. Give me 1 second while I pull this up. How about, yeah, let's do this. And then let me show you, I'll also show you an example of where there's too many second person pronouns here. Yeah, let's do this. Okay, I'm going to start to share my screen. Okay, so this is, oh, let me do this. I'm sorry. I want to make sure you guys cannot see. The student's name. Okay. This is like our sort of mini workshop. Okay, so this is an example of a student essay. First, for the, not essay, this is lesson 18, okay? I just changed the student's name. These are little things, right? But remember, US, we like the date first and then the month first and then the date. So instead of 29/3 or 29 March 29th, I'll also say right away, what is a problem we see with this right away? Can anyone notice an MLA problem right away with this document?
No, it's not.
And then
Yes,
Yes, it's
Yes.
MLA.
it is like the 4 type of task is not MLA right
That's
now.
fine. Yeah, well,
No,
and what's
but
the
the-
problem?
The header of the page is not her
First,
Yeah.
lesson, like
Also, the first line.
the
is
first line,
twisted,
the 4
yeah.
types of tasks.
Yeah, well, this is tricky too. This indent looks really, you can see that this student didn't hit tab. They just did space, 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 space. So we know that. Okay, we got to fix that. Oh boy, there's a lot of formatting stuff. So tab, right? But right away, if you see up here, what font is this?
The font is different.
Thank you. And again, you guys know this has nothing to do with your writing skills, and I don't care, but other teachers do. So just get into this habit, right? It's important. Times New Roman font, and it shouldn't be size 11. What size should it be?
12.
12.
Thank you very much. Okay, so right away, we should fix that. Then we've also, oh, what else do
Number
I see?
1 is not supposed to be here.
Yeah, if we are going to use headers, remember, I think I told you guys to put these all the way over to the side like we see in the book. Now a title up here in the middle, that's fine, right? This is totally fine. Probably want to italicize the title. But this would be something like this, right? If you are going to do headers, this is exactly what it looks like in the book, right? Okay, now let's start right away. The 4 types of tasks is about managing your attention. When given multiple choices on tasks we can do, the path we take can result in different, okay, right away, what's missing? At the very,
The
if you're
name
gonna,
of the name of writer, other. Yeah, according to.
and not only the author's name, but the title, right? Remember, we don't have to write a full research paper in this class. You don't have to find your own articles or go to the library or the online library. But if you're gonna summarize or paraphrase or cite an idea that is not your own, right? If it is someone else's idea, you have got to use an in-text citation. That means you have got to give me the author's name and the title, right? You've got to say, hey, this idea that I'm writing about comes from this book over here, right? Now, again, when you feel more comfortable with this, when you take W340, if you keep taking an ECE class or a psychology class or a computer programming class, right? You don't need to have according to Bailey for every paragraph, but this is the class where I'm making you do it, right? I want you to practice doing this over and over in this class so that you feel more comfortable and you know how to do it when you continue. Right? So according to Chris Bailey, author of the book Hyperfocus, the 4 types of tasks, this should be I mean, tasks is plural, so we should fix the, oh, and let me do this is what I do with Draga's work when I'm making edits and comments. You can see track changes in live time, Draga. Track changes is how I can show you guys the changes that I'm making, right? So according to Chris Bailey, author of the book Hyperfocus, the 4 types of tasks are about managing your attention. So remember, if you see a comment from me on lesson 18 that says second person pronoun, don't do it. Never do it, right? If it's an academic essay, if it's any kind of research, anything, it is always third person pronouns only, right? Now, one reason that I choose this book, Hyperfocus, is because, like Draga said, I think the ideas are very important and interesting, but he writes the book in the second person. He's trying to make it feel much more conversational between you, right, the reader, and him. So you get a little more personal feeling, which I really love. It makes it easier to read, but this is the kind of, language teacher brain for me. I also want to force you to make you practice changing from the second person pronouns to third person when you write your summary, right? So you can't just copy sentences from the book. You can't just keep the exact same sentence structure from the book and use those second person pronouns. You've got to give me third person pronouns. And again, I probably put this note in many people's summaries. Go back, I'll go back to Canvas here. If you go back to live support materials and look at last week's stuff, oh, excuse me, that's the schedule. I'm trying to click too fast. Right, here's the summary example. If you download it or look at the preview, this is what I'm saying. Read this by yourself again, right? Not just like we did it one time in the class. Look at how I do this. Look at how I use third person pronouns, right? In the first 2 chapters of the book, Hyperfocus, author and productivity expert Chris Bailey writes about how people can, that's a pronoun, right? People can focus their attention in order to be more productive and successful in their lives. According to him, one way for people to be more productive is to become more aware of how they spend their time and then actively choose where to direct their attention, right? So I'm not going to go through this entire example again, but that's why it's there for you, right? It's there for you to review anytime you want to see examples of how you can use these third person pronouns. So let's go back to our example here. So about managing, so according to Chris Bailey, author of the book, Hyperfocus, the 4 types of tasks are about managing your attention. How can we fix this?
People's.
Good. Are about managing, but is it about managing, like can we, instead of just changing one word for another word, how could we adjust this whole sentence here to make it make more sense?
I try.
Sure, please. Yeah, and you can type in the chat if you want, Lasana, please.
Okay. According to Chris Bailey, author of the book Hyperfocus, the 4 types of tastes are about how people can manage their attention.
Oh, yes, that's my happy noise, yes. Excellent, much better. If we just replace the pronoun for another pronoun, then the sentence structure, the phrasing of the sentence sounds a little bit strange. But here we've got, Lasana did a perfect job and made the idea more clear too, right? They are about how people can manage their attention, right? I love it. So when given multiple choices on tasks, now though, we've introduced this already. We've got our sort of pronoun and our possessive determiner here. So now we've already introduced this idea of the third person pronoun. So here, when given multiple choices on tasks, we probably can just swap, right? We probably can just change. So instead of we, what should we say?
They.
Thank you. When given multiple choices on tasks they can do, the path.
They can.
Thank you. They take can result in different outcomes, whether it be productive or distracting. The number of tasks that are available to us at any given moment can make it difficult to focus on one thing. Most of the tasks can be stimulating, but have the least amount of significance. Okay, so now, so far, let's just focus. Now, I want to, Fauzia was asking about, can we see an example? And I want to just sort of focus on the most common problems that I saw when grading the lesson 18 summaries. Second person pronouns is a big one, right? So as we continue looking at this together, we can definitely get my glasses. I'm sorry, my glasses are broken.
Mr. Jeff, so we cannot use we at all?
No. Nope, not in an academic essay. In a response essay where you're giving your opinion, maybe, but in a summary, in a research essay, in a for example, in a research essay for W340 or English 300, no way, no way, no way. Because why? And we talk about this much more in 340, but the goal for this type of writing is that you, the writer, sound almost like a scientist or an expert, right? The idea is not it's me and my personal feeling, it's I'm kind of just sharing a general truth about all the world. And that's why third person pronouns are the expectation in that kind of essay, right? And again, in this class, you get to practice, we love, usually we love first person pronouns. We love I and we and my. And we get that in the narrative, but then we have to practice switching the brain for this type of assignment, right? Okay, so there's two big things that I was looking for when I was grading today. Structure, right? Mechanics. Did you introduce the author? Did you italicize hyperfocus? Did you use second person pronouns or third person pronouns? But then, of course, I want to make sure that you've got the main idea, that you're clearly explaining the main idea. So we made these changes here. Let's look at these first few sentences and then see, what do we think? Did this student clearly get the idea here? So according to Chris Bailey, author of the book Hyperfocus, the 4 types of tasks are about how people can manage their attention. When given multiple choices on tasks they can do, the path they take can result in different outcomes, whether it be productive or distracting. The number of tasks that are available to us at any given moment can make it difficult to focus on one thing. Most of the tasks can be stimulating, but have the least amount of significance. What do we think? Is this successful, not successful, kind of in the middle? Do we think these first 4 sentences, what do we think? What do we notice?
Professor, I think he didn't speak exactly about the 4 types of tasks. And I think it should be important to put it in the beginning in order to continue explain about those 4 types of tasks.
Yeah. So, okay, good. Didier was saying the first sentence introduces the idea of the 4 types of tasks, but then we've got 1, 2, 3 sentences that don't really clearly tell us what they are. Now, if you notice, the author does, the author's going there to help with focusing on one task. Bailey suggests we should categorize our options. Okay, this idea about categorizing our options, productivity and attractive, we're going there, right? These are definitely, this is what we need to make sure is clear in the summary. But I think Didier is right. Some of these sentences, I'm not sure why the information is important in the summary. You know what I'm saying? So again, I don't think this is negative. I don't think this is a bad summary so far, but in a short summary, and 250 words is not very long, you don't want to waste time, right? You don't want a lot of extra sentences with ideas that are not essential, right? So multiple choices, the tasks that they can do, the path they take can result in different outcomes. I don't know. And this one, the number of tasks available can make it difficult to focus. This almost feels like I would put a comment here for this student, right? And I could say, this idea is more connected to attentional space, not the 4 tasks. So maybe put this in that summary, right? I don't know if this is exactly super clearly connected to the 4 tasks. Okay, so let's continue. To help with focusing on one task, Bailey suggests that, what should we do here?
People should?
Yeah, people's good, or it's again, more practice, right? People should, or a person should, or people can. I mean, again, you're going to use people and they a lot. You're going to use people and they over and over and over again, right? Someone and somebody, that's pretty good if you want to use, a singular pronoun. If someone wants to improve their focus, right? But I think you're right here. People makes the most sense in this sentence because this is Bailey's advice for everybody, right? Bailey suggests that people, everyone. So maybe that would be another good one, just so we see some variety here. So Bailey suggests that everyone should categorize their options depending on how productive and attractive they are. I think I talked about this with a few other students this week too. I think this is a synonym. I think this student is trying to paraphrase, but I think this word task is really important and option sounds unclear. But what this student is trying to say is their tasks, their choices, their options, their possibilities. I think they're just trying to use a different word, right? A synonym. And this is a little bit of a skill. When do I use a synonym and when do I just use the exact same word from the book? But here's more advice, right? If I'm telling you to summarize the 4 types of tasks, I mean, tasks is clearly one of the most important words that you're going to use because that's what I'm asking you to explain or define. So don't be afraid to use that word. And again, I'm thinking of Didier saying, well, how many times can I repeat person, people, tasks? You're right? It's a balance. It is absolutely a balance. But at this level, at 325 level, I think it is better for a student to overuse a specific pronoun or a keyword and have the summary be clear, right? I think that's better at 325 than, I'm going to try to use a different word or a different synonym. And you do that, but then the meaning gets unclear because hopefully you understand the difference, right? The difference between, in this example, Bailey suggests that everyone should categorize their options depending on how productive and attractive they are. To me, this sounds really unclear and vague, not specific. I'm like, options, what do you mean? Options for work, options for school, options for their family? Like, what do you mean? But when I say everyone should categorize their tasks, well, good news. Now this author's already introduced the word tasks up here and hopefully given us a little bit more information about it in these sentences. So this is much clearer to me than just saying options, because it's a synonym. Does that make sense, you guys? Any questions about that?
Yeah.
Good. Now you're just watching me edit a document. Fauzia, I hope this is helpful. Okay.
Could we use like project or work or any other
Project, I think work is a better synonym than option. I think their work, depending on how productive, that's fine. Work, their projects, okay, I think that's better. So Draga makes a good point. Maybe options is just an ineffective synonym and there are better options. But again, if you're sometimes paraphrasing, right? Synonyms can be very difficult for ESL students because the vocabulary is a challenge, right? The vocabulary. So if you're thinking, ooh, this is a bad synonym, but I don't want to use the word from the book, just use the word from the book. But if you feel comfortable and you understand, okay, tasks and work is pretty good, right? That's a pretty close synonym. I'm fine. So Bailey suggests that everyone should categorize their work depending on how productive and attractive they are. I'll keep it tasks just because here she's got the pronoun they, and that's referring back to the tasks, right? We could make this more clear by saying these tasks. Pronouns are tricky, you guys. Pronouns are tricky. Now, I'd say again, here the student is going to clearly, right, I see as I'm reading, unnecessary, distracting. Now I'm going to get a summary of the definition for these 4 types of tasks. Now would be a great time to once again say, right? I mean, again, because when you just start your sentence this way, unnecessary work, which is productive but unattractive, requires us to push ourselves to finish. This is starting to feel like, how can I explain this?
Yes, they need to, Mia, some introduction about that. They are going to start speaking about the task because you don't know that unnecessary work is a task. Yes. So you need to make some introduction and say, well, the author said that those tasks are blah, 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 and then try to explain which one are attractive or productive, I think.
Yes, I think you're right, Didia. And it also starts if you just, if you, the writer, if a student just introduces the writer, the original author once, and then doesn't talk about them again, it doesn't feel like a summary anymore. It almost feels like the writer is pretending that these are their own ideas, right? But unnecessary work and distracting work, that's Chris Bailey's idea, right? That's the way he presents the idea to us. So it's important to introduce and give context to your own writing, right? But it's also really important to keep citing the author, because again, the plagiarism and stealing and all that stuff is such a big focus at US College, right? So how productive and attractive they are. So we could claim that Bailey claims that unnecessary work, and now we can get rid of
scribes, and you kind of started to explain them.
That'd be more like what I did in my example essay, Didia, where I just sort of right away introduced, I listed them. Now, listing is not always a good option, but I list them in the beginning of my example summary, right? In the first paragraph, I wrote, he argues that there are 4 types of tasks that we may choose to focus on: necessary work, unnecessary work, purposeful work, and distracting work. So I list them at the beginning, and then I describe them later on, right? Now, we could do that differently. I think that this student has an example, but where we can do that. because this student did a good job saying productivity, productiveness, and attractiveness. This is an important idea from the book, and this student has it in their essay, which is great, right, in their summary. But then we need some kind of transition or clear link between the two sentences. So we could say something like, Bailey claims that unnecessary work is productive but unattractive. Now I'm going back to these ideas that have been introduced in the sentence right before, right? I'm introducing this idea of, okay, we need to think about if a task is productive or if it's attractive, and then I'm using that sort of structure, that framework, to introduce them, right? So Bailey claims that unnecessary work is productive but unattractive, and this is just a grammar thing, and it requires people to push themselves to finish it. And you know what I'm going to do? Unnecessary work is unproductive. Unnecessary work. Oh, excuse me, I got this wrong. Necessary work, right? Necessary work is productive but unattractive, and it requires people to push themselves to finish it. Unnecessary work, and you know what I'm going to say, on the other hand, right? In contrast, on the other hand, in addition, you want to draw a contrast, right? Unnecessary work, on the other hand, is unproductive and unattractive. Semicolons, don't worry about it. Just put a period and start a new sentence. It is usually the result of procrastination. And now we can maybe start to link it. And it is busy work that people often use as an excuse to not actually do important work. And now again, I'd say, so here, now we've got necessary and unnecessary, right? We've got a couple of sentences that clearly explain what necessary work is and what unnecessary work is. And now I think, again, would be a good time for some kind of transition, some kind of connecting phrase, some kind of signal to the reader that we're going to talk about a new idea, right? Or we're sort of switching, we're changing to talk about something new. So we could say something like unnecessary and necessary. What could we say here? And it is busy work that people often use as an excuse to not actually do important work. The author then describes distracting work, which is not productive, but may be attractive. And this is what many people like to do, but unfortunately, this work does not accomplish anything. Okay, so just to see, I'll read through these sentences that I just did, and then I want to stop and talk to people. I feel like I'm going too deep with this, so I want to hear what we're thinking. So Bailey claims that necessary work is productive but unattractive, and it requires people to push themselves to finish it. Unnecessary work, on the other hand, is unproductive and unattractive. It is usually the result of procrastination, and it is busy work that people often use as an excuse to not actually do important work. The author then describes distracting work, which is not productive, but may be attractive. And this is why many people like to do it, but got it. But unfortunately, this work does not accomplish anything. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. How is this? Let's check in real quick. Fauzia, is this too much detail? Is this helpful? I want to make sure I'm not just making people fall asleep here. This is getting very detailed. What do we think?
Actually, Professor, it is good, but I don't know why I'm thinking about the example, because your summary, so you just provide some examples or something, more examples, for example, so the author claims like give examples about the unnecessary work. So
yeah. And we talked about this last week, right? Is okay, how many examples from the book should I include in my summary? What, how many is too many? Because you're right, in this one, if I go back to my screen here, this student didn't include for unnecessary work, or excuse me, distracting work, right? Distracting work. That's where the author of the, where Bailey talks about social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. But you're right, this student did not include an example. So absolutely, after for what, 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences without any examples, you're right, Dallas. Yeah, maybe now would be a good time to say, examples of distracting work include social media like Facebook and Instagram. They may be fun, but they often stop people from getting work done. Something like this, right? I mean, now, I think you're right. I think you're right. But what we don't need though, Fauzia, is you don't need a sentence like that after you don't need unnecessary work is unproductive and unattractive. For example, blah, 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 blah. Necessary work is, for example, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and distracting work, you don't need to give examples for everything. The goal is to find a balance, right? And again, that just takes time and practice and reading and seeing things in books because there's no one perfect answer, And the only thing I can say that is always true is your summary should include fewer examples than the original book, right? That's an always rule I can teach you. You don't want to include an example in your summary just because it's in the book, right? That the point of a summary is focus on the main idea, not the details and the examples. But if you want to use a specific example to help make the main idea clear in your summary, okay, just don't do it too much. Don't do it too much.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
sir.
Yes, and I saw Draga's hand, and then first I saw Draga's hand, and then maybe it was Zabi, or I forget, or Lasana, excuse me. Draga and then Lasana, please.
Yes. I think this is, Professor, very, very useful because we go through somebody's essay summary, and then we all recognize our mistakes. So I think to have your summary is very important, to have something very clear, perfectly done. But this is very important because we all recognize our own mistakes when we go through it, when you cross them or make some changes. I think this is perfect time for us to listen and to continue and to finish one from the beginning to the end, because we will learn a lot and better understand how to make corrections in our essays. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, cool. I just don't know if it's too much. Yes, please, Lasana, was that you? Did you have an idea? Yeah, please.
Yes, I will ask him something. As
Please.
we wanna give a short size of the test, the original test, is it possible to make the summarize without the answer, the examples?
It is yes, I think it's possible. I do. I really do. I think that it is possible. Yeah. Do you have something specific in mind, Lasana?
Yeah, because for me, I'm wondering about how to make it short, but putting some example on it can make it longer. That's
You're
why
right.
I'm asking about, because I did mine, but I didn't include the example on it.
Yeah, no, I don't think, I think, when I first started teaching this class many years ago, I try to tell students, don't use examples. Do not include the author's examples in your summary. Never do it. But for some students, that's just really, really difficult. But Lasana, if you feel comfortable sort of explaining the main idea without the author's examples, that is totally appropriate, because you're right? Imagine that you need to write like a 5-page paper. Well, you probably don't have time or enough words. You can't write a 1-page summary in a 5-page research essay, right? I mean, you kind of have to have short, quick summaries of the most important idea when you start writing research papers. So absolutely, if you feel comfortable just focusing on the main ideas, I think that's really good practice. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? Well, I'll keep going with this one. Anybody else? Cool. I'll keep going, then we'll check in again. Okay, so I added my example, like we were just talking about. Examples of distracting work include social media like Facebook and Instagram. I forgot Instagram. They may be fun, but they often stop people from getting work done. The last, and again, here's another example of sort of synonyms or, you know, I think unclear, unspecific language. Instead of the last one what? What are we talking about, right? If you're trying to use one as a pronoun to refer, to connect back to a sentence like 3 or 4 sentences ago, not clear, right? I would say like here you could make a note, this is like a unclear pronoun referent. That would be the grammar, that's the grammar description for that, unclear referent. So the last type of task is purposeful work. These are tasks that people enjoy doing and also do meaningful work. This is just a language thing, right? These are tasks that people enjoy doing. And also, what's a better verb here instead of do? Do is too simple, I think.
Make.
Yeah,
Complete.
make is complete is okay. Complete. Also make meaningful work, and make is better. Both of those are better than do, I think. Both of those are better than do. I was gonna say create.
Accomplish.
Create is Draga. Create is just fancier version of make, right? Create is just like more academic way to say the same thing as make. Accomplish, I like accomplish. Yeah, that's nice. Ooh, I'm going with accomplish. That sounds very university to me. Yeah. These are tasks that people enjoy doing and also accomplish meaningful work. And again, you know what I'm going to say here. What's very few tasks fit into this category. What do you think I want to put at the beginning of this sentence? It's been a few sentences, so what should we do? According to. Now I'm just curious, like, so according to, I was going to sort of count, like how many sentences. So the author describes, then I get 1 sentence, 2 sentence, 3 sentence, 4 sentence, right? I have 4. So here I mentioned the author in this sentence, right? Oh, maybe it's 3 or 4. Okay, the author describes, and then examples of distracting, they may be fun, the last type, these are, yeah, it's 4 sentences. So again,
How about the writer?
Yeah, author, writer, that's fine. Yeah, that's totally fine. If it's possible. Yeah, of course, people excusing themselves, of course. Yeah, according to the author, according to the writer, according to Bailey. But again, after about what, 3, 4, 5 sentences, to me, my teacher brain goes, ooh, make sure you let the reader know that this is from the book, right?
How about
So
according to thinker or
no, thinker's too vague.
no.
Yeah, thinker's too vague. Author's fine. Again, like the thing that I'm thinking of Didier's question, and kind of inside your question, Draga, I'm hearing like, and students have said this, Jeff, like this type of writing is so boring. I just say the same thing over and over again. And it's kind of true, like, because in this style, it's totally appropriate to keep saying the author claims, according to the author, Bailey suggests, Bailey argues, the author says. It is like repeating. And again, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying this is the style that US college writing, it expects this style, right? So I like according to the thinker, but it just doesn't sound like college writing.
According to him?
Yeah, but if I say him, again, this would be, I would say again, unclear pronoun reference, Draga, because the last time we said his name, was up here. And that was maybe 6 or 7 sentences ago. You know, the basic rule for pronouns in English is if I see, okay, if I change this, if I say according to him, my native speaker brain, the rule says, okay, I see a pronoun him. That means I'm going to go back and look for the before this pronoun. I'm going to go back and look for the first proper noun that I see, right? That is going to tell me what the pronoun is. Well, let's say, okay, I go to the sentence before. These are tasks that people, okay, him can't be a pronoun for people because people is plural. The last type of, okay, no. They may be fun, but they often stop. No, right? So this is kind of how native speaker brain works. It's going to see this him, and then I will sort of scan the sentence before. And if I don't see a proper noun, I'm going to feel like it's unclear.
But if we know that we talk only about a certain author, and you mentioned that we are supposed to mention his name only in the beginning, so
I didn't say only. I think last week in the recording, right? I said no matter what at the beginning, but then change, right, between a pronoun, author's last name, and the author. Those are kind of your options, right? Because if, again, this pronoun him here, it doesn't work because the last time we said the author's last name was way up here at the beginning of the sentence. This one works. We could change this. To help with focusing on one task, Bailey suggests that everyone should categorize their tasks depending on how productive and attractive these tasks are. He, okay, now this is a pronoun and my brain is going to look for the sentence before and I say, oh, yes, okay, a proper noun in the sentence right before this totally makes sense. But if I put him down here, I have to go all the way back up to this sentence to see the last name. Again, the note that you'd say here is, I'll leave this maybe just so people see. Well, you won't see it. Other English teachers don't give this kind of feedback because it takes so long. But the note here would be unclear pronoun referent. Right? I think I need 2 R's. I don't even know how to spell my own language, you guys. Referent, there it is, my California accent. Unclear pronoun referent. Yeah. It's a big challenge for language learners. Okay, let's finish this paragraph at least. According to him, who? Very few tasks fit in this category and can heavily depend on the person's skill set. See, now this student said third person pronoun in Canvas. I was like, hey, third person pronoun. Yeah. Here's another good example for you, Didier, about where it's good to use a singular pronoun here because she is talking about each individual person's preference. And that's different than just saying people should or people do, right? She's sort of saying if a person, so this is a good example of when it's good to use a singular pronoun here. So according to him, very few tasks fit in this category and can heavily depend on a person's skill set. A productive person would focus on necessary work and purposeful work. Someone with good time management would also minimize the amount of time spent on unnecessary and distracting work. However, it is not that simple, as all work types, this is better. This was like Drago was asking about work as a synonym for tasks. This is fine. As all work types are constantly grabbing people's attention. Should we say someone, their, or people's, either one is fine. Having an autopilot mentality will make us, see, here's a big problem now. This should go. Because this author has not talked about autopilot mode in this entire paragraph. And then at the very end of the summary, they say autopilot. Well, again, in a summary, the teacher's going to go, wait, what's autopilot? You didn't explain that. You didn't define that. Now you're just using that. Don't do it. Do not introduce new ideas or new key ideas at the end of a summary. Don't do it. So I'll make one more edit. For people to effectively get their work done, they will need to get out of that mindset and put our attention on the tasks that matter. Maybe we'll just cut this sentence too. So let's read this again. According to Bailey, very few tasks fit in this category and can heavily depend on a person's skill set. A productive person would focus on necessary work and purposeful work. Someone with good time management would also minimize the amount of time spent on unnecessary and distracting work. However, it is not that simple, as all work types are constantly grabbing their or people's attention. I think that's a totally appropriate place to end that summary. I think that makes total sense. Yeah, and let's put this back up here together. And now we could say, all right, this first section, now we got it. I think we got the 4 types of tasks here. Questions, ideas, examples. Let's pause again. How are we feeling? Makes sense. Questions.
Thank you. This makes sense. No questions. You did perfect.
Oh, thank you. I doubt it. Lasana, what you got?
Yes, I'm gonna add something.
Please.
Maybe I said, according to the offer, how many, is there some specific number of sentences I have to write before repeating the offers?
Yeah. That's what I was sort of noticing here, Lasana. I think, I don't think there's a perfect number, but if you notice when I was counting 4 or 5, I mean, you definitely don't, I mean, you don't want to go like a whole, 2 paragraphs or something. You don't want to say Bailey at the first sentence and then never say the name again or never say the author again. I think, like I said, I counted here. Well, let's look at it. We're doing this kind of detail, right? So according to Bailey, then we've got his name in that sentence. When given multiple choices, that's 1. The number of tasks that are available, that's 2. Most of the tasks can be stimulating, that's 3. To help with focusing on the task, Bailey, so there he is. So that was 3 sentences. So here's in the first sentence, then I have 3 without referencing the author. Then I introduce him here in the first sentence of this second paragraph, Bailey. I also have a pronoun he, so that's 1 sentence. I repeat it here. Then we have some sentences without it. 1, 2, this is a longer sentence, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So again, longer. Now these are shorter sentences, by the way, right? Some of these are simple sentences. Well, they may be fun, but that's a compound sentence. So these are a little bit shorter, but like you can see, so up above it was 3. Here in this paragraph now, I've said his name and a pronoun twice, and then I have 7 sentences. But again, after 7 sentences, like I said, I did have this feeling of like, ooh, we got to get the according to in there again. You know what I mean? And then we finish. So after that, it's what? 1, 2, 3. So yeah, I mean, in this first example, the longest number of sentences without referencing the author was 7. So I do think for a lot of people, though, I will say this. It's a good question, but if it's helpful for you to count your essay like this, okay, do. But don't go crazy. If some people are like, oh my God, Jeff wants me to count how many sentences between the author's name, you don't have to go that detailed if you don't want to, right? Sometimes it's just practice and it's a little bit of like feeling it out. But if you're thinking about a number, like if you got a math brain, maybe, yeah, maybe that's one way to think about it. Does that help a little bit, Lasana?
Yes.
Cool.
That's okay. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, perfect. Great question. Anybody else?
So we can use a 3rd person pronoun, but only right after a sentence where we mention his name.
Yep. Maybe you could get away with one sentence in between, Draga, but definitely not 3 or 4 sentences. But you know, if you want to make sure you're good, if you want to make sure, that's a grammar thing, right? A clear pronoun referent is grammatical. So if you want to make sure the grammar is clear, I think your rule there, or your sort of suggestion, is appropriate, right? Like, only use the third person pronoun for the author if you use their last name, or names if there's more than one author, the sentence before. I think that's probably a good suggestion. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Excuse me, Professor, we have to use the same rule for a response writing. I mean, when it is not an opinion.
Response writing is totally different, right?
Oh, I mean for third person.
No, well, okay. If you mean referring to the author of the original source.
No, I mean using the third person pronoun in sentence.
Okay, no, remember, response writing is totally different, because response writing, you can give your opinion, you can give your ideas, you can give your experience. Totally appropriate, totally appropriate. But again, excuse me, response writing, you will never do in a research paper, right? You might do a response for a short answer essay, or if you do a midterm or a final exam. This is a really common writing genre. Okay, read this article and then respond to it, right? How did you feel about it? What did you think? What's your opinion? But that is very different than this type of summarizing that we're practicing, which is to get you ready for the research paper next semester, right? So research paper, sort of academic essays, don't use first or second person. And, you know, if you just look, I'll go back here and just so you see an example of, because I saw Parisa's comment in the chat as well, but let's just go and see. This is good. It'll be a good break from the details of the document here. If you just look at, for example, the way that the teacher asks you the question should give you a big clue. Is it summarizing? Is it academic? Or is it more like responding? And then that will help you with the pronouns, hopefully, right? So this is lesson 19. In chapter 3 of Hyperfocus, Bailey writes that attention without intention is wasted energy, and that the most effective way to become more productive is to choose what you want to accomplish before you begin working. Now, here's what I'm asking you, the student, to do. Do you agree or disagree with Bailey's argument? Well, to answer that question, you're gonna you must use your first person pronoun, right? And then again, in the instructions, in your response, provide at least one example from your personal life and one quote from the book to support your response, right? So this type of question, if you see it on a midterm or a final exam, and if you keep taking classes at ARC, if you're gonna get an associate's degree, if you're gonna get a bachelor's degree, you will see this type of question. Totally appropriate to use the first person pronoun. Now, this is a different type of, we could say, prompt or write instructions, which says, read and review chapter 3 of Hyperfocus, write a 500-word summary, right? I'm not asking for opinion. I'm not asking for your experience. I'm saying, read this, summarize it. If you see instructions like that, or again, I will just say, if you are reading, if your job is to write some kind of research paper, that is where third person only. Does that help a little bit, Parisa?
Yes, it makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. It takes practice too. Draga, new hand?
Yes. Can you turn the previous screen, Professor, with instructions for some response? I think a response. It's not quite clear, so I would like to ask you. So you said in your response, provide at least one example from your personal life and one quote. So at least one quote or one quote only?
At least. That's a good question. I mean, that's very close parsing, I would say. I would say at least one. If you find more than one quote from the book that you really want to include, that's fine.
Okay, and regarding summary, I included maybe few quotes. I think they are important. So is it totally wrong? Should I just say in my words? I can say that, but I do it all the time. And sometimes I think it is good as a contrast to have his own words.
Yeah, no, I think it's totally appropriate. Again, yeah, I think it's totally appropriate. I think, again, I will look at everybody's individual summary, but I think, again, learning how to find good quotes and put them in your writing, I think we should be teaching students at the 50 level. I think that's a really important skill. So just for me as a teacher, I think practice it, Draga, put it in. And like I've done with other assignments, right? If I think it's too much, I'll say, hey, this is too much. But I think finding good quotes and trying to use them effectively in your essay is super important. So I think it's good. I think it's good.
Yeah, I think it sounds better if we have contrast between our words and original text.
I think it can help. I think it can definitely help clearly explain the main idea. I definitely think it can help. Other questions about anything from this essay, or from like Parisa's question about pronouns, or
Professor, I have one question.
Please.
So regarding lesson 18, okay, I didn't include my personal experience, but somebody else who I know personally. Is that okay?
Probably not.
Say again?
Probably not, because a summary should, lesson 18, the summary should only be what's in the book.
The previous one we were talking about. So when we have to talk about our experience to support it. So I didn't include my own experience, but somebody else who is my close friend as a good example regarding.
But I think here, but you're talking about the response though, right? You're not talking about you're talking about lesson 12 then?
Yes.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Response writing from the story and example from your own life to support. So I didn't include mine because I have better than mine in the life of my friend.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I thought you were asking about the summary. Yeah, that's fine. Again, response writing, taking examples from your life, from people you know, totally appropriate, right? Totally appropriate. In a summary, you want to make sure you only include information that is in that book, that novel, that article, right? That is
clear. That is clear. That is totally different. Thank you very much.
Yes, Asha, please.
Hey, Professor, I just wanted a little clarification. You know how you said use a quote? So you said one example from personal life. So the quote, does that mean an example from the book, or just find a quote and elaborate on that?
If your quote is an example, I mean, that could be appropriate. I think, yeah, if your quote from the book is, oh, in the book he writes about blah blah blah, or he gives the example of quote quote quote, that could be appropriate. I mean, that could be appropriate. Yeah.
Perfect.
I
think
think, yeah, I think now, I'm just gonna say, oh, I want to read it. But I would say in general, that could be fine. That could be appropriate. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. With this, I was struggling to find an example, but now that I notice it's a quote, so that's a little. That's what I was wondering. Yeah. So I can use a quote and then just provide an example.
Yeah, you could. And now let's go to. Let me open the book here again. This is on here. I'm quoting page 58. Yeah, I needed to check. I knew it was in the 50s. Different book, wrong book. This is what I'm reading for fun.
Thanks.
Okay. Hyper focusing on habits. Here it is. Okay. So yeah, this is where it starts in the paper book on page 58, right? So here's the quote. Attention without intention is wasted energy. Intention should always precede attention. In fact, the two ideas pair perfectly. Where does he start with the examples? Okay, so these here he's giving examples of goals. These include such goals as setting aside time to plan what main tasks you want to accomplish each day, mentoring a new employee who joined your team a month ago, and writing that book you've been meaning to write for years. So yeah, I mean, you could give that example. I'm trying to see if there's some better example.
Perfect. I think we're thinking alike. That's awesome. Thanks. That's what
Yeah,
I thought.
you
I was
could.
just a little, yeah, worried.
You could. And personally, you know, again, just because it is a response type writing, I think it'll be more interesting. Hopefully your personal example will be more interesting. I think, again, as I said, Asha, in this class, I just want to make you guys practice quoting all the time because it's such a valuable skill.
Perfect. Thank you. I
You
appreciate
got
your
it.
assistance. Thanks. And I'll submit my other one with the third printout. I will make sure I correct and resubmit.
Yeah, don't be scared when people see all the red boxes. I just wanted to show every second person pronoun to say, like, fix this one, fix this one, fix this one. So it's boring, but it's very good grammar practice. Sadaf, I see your yellow hand. What's up?
Yes, Professor. I'm still confused on summary. Should we use our own example, like
No.
our
Summary? No. Summary, only what's in the book. Response when the teacher says, what do you think? In your opinion, how do you feel? Yes. But if it says, summarize this idea, summarize the main idea, summarize page 5, nope, nope, nope. No I, no we, no our, no you. Just the author says, people can. It's just you are like the expert, right? You are the professor. You are just making statements about what is in that book or that article.
Got it. And my next question is also about this summary. It should be like paraphrasing or the same words that the author writes in the book?
It should definitely not, it should be more like paraphrasing, right? Because if it's the same words in the book, then it's not really a summary, it's just a big quote.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, like I was saying, I said to Draga, I said to few, like Asha there too, using a couple quotes, okay, right? But you don't, you know, if you have a 2-paragraph summary, you don't want like 75% to be just the same words from the book, right? Again, for one, again, at US college, that's going to be called plagiarism and students get 0. But even more, it's not going to help you and your language skill, right? The thing that I'm forcing you to practice in this class is read a lot, make sure you understand it, and then write about what you understood. That's the whole thing, right? That's why this is so hard. but that's the other reason that, you know, you have to do it that way. That will help your language skills too.
All right. And also I have another question in my mind, Professor. The summary should be, it's important, the summary should be like an AC structure. It should have the like thesis statement, the body paragraphs, and also the conclusion, or it doesn't matter?
Not really, right? I mean, not really. In my example essay that I showed you guys last week, right, I organized it in a paragraph structure, but it's not a thesis statement, right? And that's, again, that's like those lessons that are in Canvas. What are they? Lesson 14, I always forget them. Yeah, lesson 13 and lesson 16 that talk about, right? At this level, it's not just a 5-paragraph essay, right? It's not thesis, topic, conclusion. It's much more important that you understand the main idea when you read and then clearly explain that idea when you write. So you can review lessons 13 and 16 if you have more questions like that, Sadaf. And then just so you see different examples here, right? The example response, excuse me, the summary example. You see how I organized it in the example, right? It's not like a thesis statement. This is not a thesis statement for the entire document. It's just each idea, each paragraph kind of flows into the next idea. But in this student example that we've been looking at today, this student didn't really do it that way, right? They have headers. They just say, hey, this section is about the 4 types of task. And we need to fix the MLA here, right? Like we were saying at the beginning. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen still. So this should be like a header. It should be over on the side, but this is totally appropriate, right? You make this bold, just like he does in the book. And we can say, okay, now this isn't like an essay where every paragraph connects. It's like, this is section number 1, right? And it's only about the 4 types of tasks. Section number 2, it's only about attentional space, right? So you can organize a summary in different ways. So it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because when you go to 340 next semester, it will be your teacher's job to explain to you, you know, there is a specific structure for a research essay, right? And you might include summarizing skills in lots of different places in that essay. But for this, where we're just practicing summarizing, there's no big structure you have to follow, you know?
Got you. That could be helpful. Thank you, Professor.
You're so welcome. I love it. You guys, you have amazing questions. It's like, I feel like I'm like running a marathon here with the workshop style questions, but I love it, like, because it's so helpful. I'm so thank you guys. It's so helpful for me to know what are the questions you have, because it just it lets me know what you guys need. So thank you. Thank you. Other questions? Okay.
I think it will be good to continue to analyze this assignment.
Yeah, I'll go a little longer. I don't know if I can go for the whole, I don't know if I have 45 more minutes, but let's do at least one more paragraph, and then we'll talk about what's coming up and spring break and all that stuff. Okay. So we looked at the first section of this student's paragraph, summarizing. Now, like I said, a header like this, put it over to the left, right? It was centered here, but this looks like a title, right? So for MLA formatting, if you want to break your writing up into sections, totally appropriate, use a header. That's what this is called. Put it in bold, put it over to the left. That's a header. Correct MLA formatting. Okay. Attentional space is a space that allows us to focus and process things in the moment. You know what I want to add at the very beginning right here, right? There we go. Author Chris Bailey. Again, this is like a section break. That's a big clue saying, hey, I'm starting over. Here's a new section. So let's reintroduce that author. Author Chris Bailey explains that attentional space is a space that allows a person to focus and process things in the moment. I would say if you're going to put this in quotes, attentional space, then we should have a page number here. Is this on page 20? I forget. Does anyone remember the exact page? I should look at my own. 26, thank you. Okay, in my essay, I cited on page 26. If you're going to put attentional space in quotes, include the page number, right? Now, this is a good way of making sure we are correctly citing the source and using MLA in-text citation, right? So author Chris Bailey explains that attentional space is a space that allows, let's say the space, I think that's a much better pronoun, or excuse me, a determiner here, that allows a person to focus and process things in the moment. I think we should also say like the mental space, because we're talking about an internal process in the mind. Because this space is so small and cannot hold a lot of things at the same time, we should be careful using it. I think this is good.
Can we say because instead of because this space, because it is the second time, 3 times, this is the 3rd time mentioning the same word, space. How about it? Because it is so small.
Yeah.
Pronoun?
That's fine. Bailey explains that attentional space is the mental space that allows a person to focus and process things in the moment. I still feel like I'm introducing the word though. I feel like I'm defining, like I feel like we're introducing this really important idea. It might be useful to say it one more time. This is a little bit stylistic, Jaga. If you said this, I wouldn't circle it and say wrong, right? I wouldn't say bad grammar. But I don't know. Like this doesn't look bad to me either. Maybe I'm just so used to how often we repeat things in US writing that it doesn't look crazy to me, but that doesn't look crazy to me. And then I think we should start using pronouns later, I think. Let's just see, let's see. I think it's a good suggestion though, Draga. Because the attentional space is so small and cannot hold a lot of things at the same time, people should be careful using it. Whatever they do during the day, people will fill up their attentional space. So maybe you're right here. So now we say attentional space down here. So that makes a stronger argument for using a pronoun up here. Again, now this is turning into like a pronoun workshop. But you see why, of course, this is so hard for you guys, right? Like this is not a one perfect pronoun rule. A lot of the advice I'm giving and the changes that I'm making are, again, I would say stylistic, right? Even more than like rule. It's about style and clarity and not like, oh, you must use the pronoun after 3 sentences. Anyway, I'm just saying, you know, I have deep care and compassion for you guys. I know how hard this is. It's hard for native speakers. Okay, because it is so small and cannot hold a lot of things at the same time, people should be careful using it. Whatever they do during the day, people will fill up their attentional space. The space holds everything we are aware of. I think this sentence should be up here. Yeah, I think that idea of the attentional space holds everything we're aware of, but it's limited is important. And then limited and small go together in a really nice way here that makes the idea more clear. Author Chris Bailey explains that attentional space is the mental space that allows a person to focus and process things in the moment. The space holds everything we're aware of, but it is limited. Because it is so small and cannot hold a lot of things at the same time, people should be careful using it. Whatever they do during the day, people will fill up their attentional space. According to scientists, ooh, I like that again. This is appropriate here to say scientists because author Bailey, talks about scientists in the book, in this section of the book. So let's see, this could be appropriate. So according to scientists, if someone...
How about the researchers?
Yeah, same, good synonym, totally appropriate, totally appropriate. According to researchers, according to scientists, if someone truly focuses on something, they can hardly pay attention to other things. Bailey gives an example about reading a book. Oh, how did I spell that wrong? When people read, their mind collects words from the book, and these words fill their attentional space temporarily. Then their brain combines those words into a higher level meaning. Sentence structure can influence the speed of this process. According to one study, at the end of the sentence, people's attention, hopefully you're thinking, oh, this is kind of a lot of sentences with examples. According to one study, at the end of the sentence, people's attention space will stop being loaded and the information of that sentence must be saved in short-term memory. Again, I'll say this. I think this is great. But what do you think? Like, does this feel like too much of an example? Or I'm just curious how you guys feel. Does this look appropriate? Like, what do you guys think about these sentences?
I think it is good.
You
Yeah.
like it?
Clear. Yeah, I like it. So that's
It
good.
does explain the
Mhm.
idea really clearly. You know, I think this though should be about the maximum amount of words that you just are saying, hey, this is an example from the book. But I do think you're right. This was like I was saying to Lasana. This example does really help clarify the concept, the idea of attentional space. And that's what we have to do in this paragraph. So yeah, like I said, my teacher brain goes, oof, maybe too many sentences about examples, but it does make the main idea clear. I totally agree with you guys about that. I totally agree. When people read, their mind collects words from the book, and these words fill their attentional space temporarily. Then their brain combines those words into a higher level meaning. Sentence structure can influence the speed of this process. I think like this maybe is the sentence I would want to cut, because this isn't about processing, right? Like, okay, here's an example of how my teacher brain works again. This paragraph should be about attentional space, right? How much, how little. This sentence talks about sentence structure and speed. Those are not about attentional space, right? Like those are connected to attentional space, but this is not a paragraph about sentence structure and speed and the speed of processing. No, this isn't about how fast we process. This is about how much. I'd cut it.
Professor,
Then,
I'm sorry
yeah.
to interrupt. I was
Please.
about to type that in text because this is not about process, but you already answered the question.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you. You probably got it faster than me. I was just saying like, Jeff, what's your point? Yes, but I agree, Manisha. It's like that sentence was about how fast we process, but this paragraph should be about how much we can hold, right? And those are two different ideas. Those are two different ideas. Thank you, Manisha. I could feel you saying, you know, Jeff, this is what you're talking about. Okay. Then I think we should start a new paragraph because we're changing it up. We finished this example. Besides, I think we should say additionally or in addition, because again, besides, what this student wants to say is also, but besides isn't also. Besides is difference, right? Besides gives us contrast. We're not trying to do contrast. We're just saying also more information. I'm adding more. So additionally, in addition, what's another one? Further. People's attention is constantly synced to what they are doing. For example, now we're getting too many examples. People's blinking happens automatically by where they focus. Even though letting the mind wander is good for people, for many people, most times they would do better to focus on the present. So I'm going to get rid of that blinking because it's only one sentence and we already spent a lot of time with an example and it's not that interesting or important. Even though letting the mind wander is good for many people, most times they would do better to focus on the present. One of the best practices for managing, one of the best practices to help people.
Managing.
You got it. I'm going to change it to manage their attention.
Manage their attention.
We'll get rid of the gerund there. Manage their attention is, here's our gerund, is being aware of what they are thinking about. One study shows that people do, hey, third person pronoun, yay, do significantly better when they are aware that their mind is wandering than when their mind wanders without awareness. If you pay attention to what is in your mind, you'll notice the content of your attention space is constantly changing. Yeah, what do you guys think about this paragraph here?
How about the individual?
Where?
Instead of person.
If an individual, Draga just does not want to repeat words. It sounds like a doctor's office, but that's fine. If an individual can pay attention to what is in their mind, I mean, like clinical, Draga, that's all. They will notice that the content of their attentional space.
Just to find different way to say the same thing.
Yeah, I get it. No, I understand. And you're an artist, you're a creative person like I am too. And unfortunately, this is not the genre for us, you know. Even though I teach it and I'm good at writing it, it is not a creative genre. How many words there? 250. Okay, that's fine. Additionally, let's see how we got. Additionally, I'm thinking again of Lasana, we might need to add Bailey's name in here. Additionally, yeah, we do, because we don't have it anywhere in this paragraph yet.
How about however? How about the however?
But I don't want however, because again, I don't want to draw contrast. The goal of this second paragraph is not to talk about a difference between these two paragraphs. It's to give more information that is connected to what she introduced up here. So the better transition word here is further, also. You know, I'm just trying to say, fancy way to say also, additionally, in addition, further. Bailey argues, Bailey says, I'm getting tired, I'm running out of good vocab words. Bailey says people's attention is constantly synced to what they are doing. Even though letting the mind wander is good for many people, most times they would do better to focus on the present. One of the best practices to help people manage their attentional, I think now we should say attentional space again too, is being aware of what they are thinking about. One study shows that people do significantly better when they're aware that their mind is wandering. But this is a problem too. Like I'd say here, I'm running out of steam, you guys. Oops, excuse me. So here, this is another problem or danger of examples, you guys. When this author says, one study shows that people do significantly better when they are aware that their mind is wandering. Well, here would be my comment. Here would be better at what? This is unclear because you did not include more context or information about the example study, and shouldn't, right? Like this summary, this essay, this paragraph should not be a summary of the research study. So again, with this type of note, maybe you see this note and go, oh, maybe I'll cut this sentence, right? Because again, I do think there's a little bit too much example. There's a little bit too much, this student included a little too many examples, I think, in these two paragraphs here. So let's just look at this paragraph again here though. Further, additionally, Bailey says people's attention is constantly synced to what they're doing. Even though letting the mind wander is good for many people, most times they would do better to focus on the present. One of the best practices to help people manage their attentional space is being aware of what they are thinking about. One study shows that people do significantly better when they're aware that their mind is wandering than when their mind wanders without awareness. If an individual can pay attention to what is in their mind, they will notice that the content of their attentional space is constantly changing. It's pretty good. I honestly think, I said this to this student, I think they did a good job with the main idea in this section here. I think they did a nice job explaining attentional space. I think, now I'm gonna make it my face big here. I think one problem though, this is another thing where I've talked a lot about examples and pronouns tonight, you guys. If you talk about examples, it's a little bit dangerous because you want to make sure that you are choosing the best and most important examples to include. And I think in this section of the book, the most interesting examples, and I'll show this because many people did a great job including this in their lesson 18, is this. I'm going to share my screen. This stuff about how different tasks take up our attention. I think these examples of a small task or a complex task, I think those were probably the best examples to include to talk about how attentional space works, instead of just including a bunch of examples to define what attentional space is, if that makes sense. A lot of people gave small examples about this stuff in their summaries. And I think that was a very strong choice. Now, again, I don't think this is bad, but I think it could be stronger, you know, if the examples from the original book were even more important or more significant, you know, to the task. Questions? I don't think I'm making sense anymore. My brain is shutting. When you go word for word with an essay for like 2 hours, it's like you're like watching me grade in live time. If it is interesting for you, you are all amazing, because wow, I'm just shocked and surprised. Parisa, yes, please.
Thank you, Professor. It was very helpful for me. So, is it possible to put it in PowerPoint in live Zoom material or no?
What do you mean? This document?
Yes, I mean this document is did you add it in document in PowerPoint or no?
I'll ask this student if I can post their essay, but for sure it's in the YouTube, so it'll be posted, of course, in the Zoom recording. But I don't want to put the file, this document, in Canvas without asking the student if it's okay.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
But it's there. The recording will be there. The recording will be there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I forgot.
Yeah, of course. You can watch it all over again. It's like, you know, watching.
I think Ramadan worked for me.
I know.
Professor Jeff?
Yes.
Sorry, maybe my question is stupid, but can you tell us few examples where we will use writing a summary and all other like response, where in praxis we will really use that?
Every class you take that is not an ESL class at community college or university in the United States, you will use this type of writing. And again, like I said, summary writing in every assignment, every essay, every homework, everything, summarizing. Did you read? This is like I said in the lessons, right? Lesson 13 and 16.
Is it all about students who study, or where after people finish whatever their majors, so where to use this skill? That's my question. Maybe it is not important. I don't want to waste your time.
Outside of academia, outside of university?
Yes.
Probably not. But I mean, who writes? I mean, again, Draga, you and who writes? Who writes? Americans don't write. Americans don't read. So you know what I mean, Draga? I'm a weirdo. You know, I was in grad school for 7. I love reading and writing. That's like my whole life. But I don't know. Most people, what do most people write? Text messages, maybe emails at work. Who writes an essay that's not in university? You know what I mean? So outside of college, I don't even know. Like, I feel like I've been in college for like the last 20 years of my life, you know, so I just am ignorant about that. But I can say, where will you use this skill? Every essay you ever write outside of ESL at university. And for response writing, like I said, very often for a midterm or a final exam in a college class. Now, response writing, you could do, maybe you would do for fun, right? You see a movie and you just say, I want to write about that. Again, maybe that's just me because I'm a nerd, I don't know. Or you hear something, you have some opinion, you want to express your opinion or your feelings in writing. Response writing might be totally appropriate for that, you know? But that's what I'd say, Draga. Like, when do most people write? A journal? Again, I don't know. I have journals. I write in my journal almost every day, and my journals go back to 7th grade. But again, I think I'm weird. I don't think most people have, you know, 24 years of their writing in notebooks. I just think people write for different reasons. And the writing I'm teaching you here, especially in this class, is to be successful at university. Does that make sense, Draga?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. That was just my opinion, by the way. That was like pure Jeff. That was not my teacher mode. I can imagine my dean being like, Jeff, did you tell your students that Americans don't read? They don't, though. They don't.
Professor Jeff, one more question because time is almost done. So we'll be 2 weeks out of your class. So can you tell us who have more time, how to spend time practicing or reading, what to pay attention
Yeah,
while we read the book, or what to expect in the following month?
That's what's next. That's what's next. I see Fauzia's hand. I just want to make sure. Fauzia, I do want to, I wanted to go where Draga's going about what's next, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. And, but Fauzia, do you have a question about anything from the lesson tonight?
Yes, just a quick question is I'm asking about the structure of the summary writing. The structure of summary writing is not the same as the structure of essay. Like we include topic, sentence, introduction, like paragraph example. It is not the same. It is different.
Correct.
It is like whatever we can write. It is just like writing.
I've said this, and I think I've said this the last couple times, so you can, last week's Zoom, I know I talked about it, but that's this, remember this slide about mirror the structure? Mirror the structure just means, how should your summary look? You should organize your structure in your summary the way that the ideas are organized in the book, right? So if you're summarizing an idea on page 1, that should be at the beginning of your summary. Page 3, after that. Page 5, right? That is kind of your structure. The way that the author presents the ideas to you when you're reading is how you should present them to the reader, in this case me, when you're writing. Does that make sense, Fauzia?
Yes, thank you, Professor.
And like I said, you'll get more next semester. Once you feel comfortable summarizing, you will learn that the structure of a research essay, that does have very specific structure. But like I said to Draga in her question, in a research essay that's 4 or 5 pages, you're going to summarize, you're going to use summarizing skills in every page, right? But you'll combine that with other different skills too. So that's why in this class, I really want you to get comfortable citing information, quoting information, and summarizing information. Yeah. Sadaf says no more work. We have enough. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. So let me show you what's in Canvas. I do feel like I said, and Drago was saying it's not because you're bad students. Of course, only one student did lesson 19 and only one did lesson 20. I don't want to add anything new in Canvas. I think, so what's new, what's in Canvas is exactly what I showed you last time, you guys, right? So I think we have 26 students in this class, 16 people. Oh, I need to share. We have 26 students in this class. I graded 16 summaries, lesson 18 today. So if you haven't done lesson 18, do that, right? Do lesson 17 and 18. Most people have, many people have. But I gave people things to fix, to revise for more points, right? And good practice changing your pronouns, your second person pronouns, so you can revise that stuff. Then lesson 19 and 20. This is the old, excuse me, you're saying, let me change to student view so it's not, you don't see what I'm working on in the background here. Right, lesson 19 and 20. So do that, revise stuff, take time, be with your family, right? Celebrate Ramadan or celebrate Easter, whatever you're doing, right? If you want to go fast, I'm kind of talking to Draga now, but anybody, you know, Draga, come see me in the lab, or we can make a plan one-on-one or something. But I think most people, what my prayer for people is this week, and then after spring break, read the book as much as you can. Read as much as you can. Listen to my recording as much as you can. That, like I said at the beginning of this class, we're at that time where there's some work that only you can do for yourself now. And it's painful and it's hard, but at the end of the day, to keep going, right? To pass transfer level English and to get that university degree so many of you want, You just have to spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours reading. And you go, oh my God, I read a paragraph and I didn't understand anything. Go back and reread it, you know? And that's why tonight I wanted to help you and answer any questions, but I just strongly believe what I just said. Read as much as you can, right? Read as much as you can and practice writing. Practice writing as much as you can. Revise your writing as much as you can. That's going to be the best use of your time, right? Now, Drago was asking about what's coming up. So remember, so I'll say that here on the coming up slide, right? Finish all unfinished lessons. Lesson 19, lesson 20. What I think after spring break, I've asked you guys to read up to, let me look at the calendar for hyperfocus. At least page 131, even though I think you were supposed to be done with 131 today. But read as much as you can. Read as much as you can, because after we get back from spring break, I am going to talk about ideas that are at the later half of the book, right? We've only talked about the first 50 pages or so. So read as much as you can. And I will introduce the final writing project after spring break. It will be due March 10th. So I'm going to March. Oh my gosh, I'm going back in time. May 10th. So I don't see you next week. I see you in 2 weeks. I'm going to introduce the final writing project at that time, and you will have 3 weeks to do it. Okay. After spring break, we can talk. Do you need more practice before the final writing project? Do you need some more practice with anything? We can do more lessons in Canvas, right? But again, I do think we're at that time where we're tired. It's Ramadan, it's Semana Santa, it's time. And the best use of your time is to read and understand the ideas and then really get ready to come back after spring break and write, right? That's my dream. That's my dream for what's happening now. So nothing new in Canvas, nothing new in Canvas. And if you want to go extra fast, text me or email me and we can make a one-on-one plan for you.
Okay, so Professor Jeff,
yes.
So could we expect only one more writing?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Okay.
We'll only have one big final project, right? The final project is 2,000 words. So we'll have one big final project. Will we have any more lessons in Canvas? I don't know yet. I need to see how we do with lesson 19 and 20.
Can you tell just even a little bit about that big writing?
No.
So like would be that summary or paraphrasing or
yeah, of course. I'm not gonna
according to the book, right?
Yeah, it'll be everything that we've practiced for the last month. Other questions? Fausia, please.
No, Professor, I don't have any question.
She says, just let us go. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording. I know. I'm gonna stop the recording and then I'll say goodbye to you guys.